I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. So, good morning.
I bet that's better. Yes.
It is indeed, and it is
Yeah.
a good morning.
It is a
Good to
good
see you.
morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
today's a really special time. This is a heavy topic. This is a meaningful topic, and I think that this is on the order of great commandment type stuff. So, if you might remind us, what is the great commandment, Mark?
That would be when Jesus said that all the law is summed up in these words: love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second is like it: love your neighbor as yourself. And
And
that's
who
certainly, I agree with you completely.
and who is my neighbor?
That would be all the children of God, all the people of the earth, all people. And it's a shame that we forget that sometimes and try to put labels on people to declassify them as children of God and beloved community. But we do that, and we see that taking place in the world today, and that's really what our topic's all about today.
Yeah, I think over time we've our world and the number of contacts and the kinds of people that we can be in contact with has changed. It's expanded greatly, and in Jesus' time that might be just the few hundred people you run into in your lifetime, and today it's all over the world, and that's what we're going to do today. So. Today is first of all, welcome everybody. This is going to be a good one here. This is going to be a really meaningful program. We've got our guests ready to go here in just a second. And I'll remind you that this is a live program, and your responses are always much appreciated. Judy, already very glad to see you um, uh, present with us this morning, and we're gonna pretty much just introduce. Would you tell us a little bit about David, and then we're gonna put David on the screen with our guests, and I think he's gonna kind of take it from there.
My pleasure. David Fouche is a member of our congregation here in Oak Ridge. He is actually a contributing writer to many of the things we do. He helps us write midweek devotions. He is a Stephen minister in our congregation, meaning that he provides confidential pastoral care for people. He's a good friend. I have enjoyed getting to know him and his writing ability in particular. But he also helps to lead worship sometimes in our contemporary worship service. Just an all around great guy, and it's an honor to have him as part of our congregation. And he is the one that made this connection for us with coworkers in the Ukraine. And that's want to bring him on just to let him take the lead on the conversation today. So welcome,
And
David.
yeah, there we are. And David, I'm gonna throw you up on the screen solo here for just a second,
Okay.
and then you can speak and do your introductions.
Yeah. So I have a flag of Ukraine behind me, and my signboard says "We love Ukraine." My son Adam gave me that signboard for Christmas one year, and I love it. I change the sign. I change whatever it says every week, just for fun. But right now, I thought it especially important to make sure everybody in my work, everybody I work with, when we do video calls, they see the flag and the sign behind me, and I want to make sure that everybody knows and keeps that forefront, and that we don't lose interest in what's going on. That people, because people's interest can fade, and we don't want that to happen. This is very important to all of us. A couple of years ago, I got to work with a company called AMC Bridge. They're in Ukraine. Well, they're based in Boston, but they have many, many employees in Ukraine. They do phenomenal development work. They're just great people to work with. They're professionals, and we got an opportunity to work with them again. So we were very excited to work with them, and that we had a meeting scheduled for this one morning at 8 o'clock, 8:30, I think. I woke up that morning, and it was 24th of February. I'll never forget. I woke up to the news that Russia had invaded Ukraine. And then about 8 o'clock, a couple hours later, I'm on the phone. I'm on Zoom video calls with these people who are just as professional as they didn't flinch. We did an incredible, we had an incredible meeting. It was very productive. I'm not sure how they got through that morning, but they did. And I was so inspired by their bravery, their braveness, if you will. that I wrote a little piece about it, and I want the world to know about these people. So I asked them, hey, would you be willing to be interviewed for a sort of a longer segment like this? Anna was very, very willing to do that. She's what we might call the business analyst of the team over there. She's been highly touted by the people at my company now. They're very excited. Everybody said very good things about her and her professionalism and her notes and everything else. And I said, well, who else? And she pointed me to Alex, who was actually living in Kiev the day the Russians invaded. And he has an incredible story to tell. So that's how I'm going to introduce these two incredible people, Anna and Alex. And if we can bring them in, I guess it'd be great. So hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, David. Thank you very much for this introduction.
It's great. I'll start on a personal note. My daughter Lucy is 3, and she loves, of course, Frozen like everybody does. And we saw this video of a little girl in a Ukraine basement. She's probably more like 12 years old, singing the Frozen songs in Ukrainian, and it was just beautiful. She had this beautiful voice, and that's my daughter. She sings all the time. And when I told her I'm going to interview Anna, she just, she goes, Elsa and Anna. She goes, the Anna? And I'm like, yep, the Anna. No, but I thought, we're just all people. We're just people here, and it's just so great to recognize that, you all are where you are, and these things are going on, and you're people just like us. And I think it's easy to forget that. So let me start, Anna, with you. Tell us a little bit about you and where you are, and your ties to Ukraine.
Yeah, actually, I am one of few lucky people, yes, who managed to escape before the war actually started. That's why maybe I cannot share my personal experience, like about hiding in bomb shelters or working among alarm screaming. So, but all my family and all my friends stayed in Ukraine, and my everyday starts and ends with me checking news, checking on them, checking if they are okay or not. And if they do not reply like within 1 hour, I start to panic. And so for the last 3 weeks, I live with this predominant feeling of anxiety and fear for my close people. And yeah, that, as you said, my team is also located in Dnipro, and but we also have a team in Sumy, and Sumy is the city that really suffered a lot, and they were surrounded by Russians, and some people managed to escape, and at some point they needed to make a horrible, like really important decision, whether to stay in the city, in the occupied city, or to escape. And it was a huge risk of being killed while you are going out of the city, because Russian military troops, they can shoot at like civilians trying to escape. They say that they aim only on military objects, but it's not true. They bomb hospitals, maternity hospitals, just civilians that trying to escape. So it was really difficult decision for them, but luckily some of them managed to escape and hide in the near city. But we need to totally understand that there is no safe place in Ukraine right now. Like everyone can be in danger, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So so right now it's really important for us to support people who are still there in Ukraine, who are fighting for their life. They are fighting for our life and the chance of people like me to return home. So that's why another emotion that I feel every day is a huge love and a huge respect for people staying there in Ukraine and fighting for us. Because they are undergoing terrible and horrible things. And it's not a movie, it's not a crisis, it's a war. And it's really
Yeah.
important for all of us to unite and to support each other in a time like that. And yeah, so
Anna,
we do
yeah.
what we can. Yeah.
No, keep going, please.
Yeah, and
No,
I would like to support Anna too. Thank you, Anna. I wouldn't underestimate and devaluate the anxiety that you have there right now. It's been 4 days as we were supposed to meet already, myself and Anna and all our friends, according to the plan that we made months ago, and we should have been having a barbecue together and celebrating holidays, but we can't do it now. Anna cannot return home. She's driven out, and that's why I would like to say that I support you, and we feel your support, and it matters, and we appreciate it.
but thank you, Alex. But friendly speaking, of course, it's a huge problem that I cannot return home. But my trouble is so little compared to people that are losing their close people, that are losing their life and their homes. So, but we are
Yeah,
all together in this pain,
that's
of
what
course.
I think. It's impossible to compare. It's impossible to
Mm.
compare grief, to compare love, to compare happiness. So it all matters, and it all has a special place and space, and I personally value it a lot, and I value your participation, and I feel your pain, no matter how much you might want to try to hide it these days, to be strong, to support your relatives who are there, to support everyone. I understand.
Yeah, I'll just throw out that just before we started the show, I was talking to Mark and Steve about how I would love to say I can relate. I want to say I'm here for you, but I don't know what my life is pretty normal right now. And I'm not going to apologize. It's just, it is what it is, but it helps when I have a moment when I think I'm having trouble. You know, Anna, you're going through something so much worse, and Alex, you of course as well. I think it just helps me and us to keep things in perspective. Because I can't imagine what either of you has been going through these last 2-3 weeks or more. Alex, can you tell us a little bit about your story? You and I sat down and had a very emotional chat a week ago or so, and I've shared that with many people. But I'd like you to, if you don't mind, if you could retell that story for this crowd. I think it would be really great to hear.
Oh yeah, I will try. It sometimes it's not that easy, but I'll just keep on. Well, it started, yes, on the 24th of February, and we woke up at 5 in the morning, or something like this, between 5 and 6, when they began launching missiles and bombs. There was a powerful airstrike, basically around the whole territory of Ukraine, um, and panic began, and well, not panic, I would say people got nervous and worried. People formed lines to cash machines and petrol stations where I spent my first hours of that day. Everybody was already writing and texting, uh, in chats and messages, asking questions. Some people were at work. Some people were still having meetings and being just. Not everybody found out about the situation immediately, and well, when it all started, it looked surreal, and lines of people and lines of cars uh, changing their direction, because usually in Kiev in the morning we have huge traffic jams, beginning at 6 a.m. of people lining up to go to work.
Mhm.
And it was an incredible view of them turning around, and the whole flow was diverting and going back outside Kiev to evacuate, to leave. And if you look in the windows of the cars, you could see people with their families. They tried to stuff as many things as possible in those cars, their pets, their uh, grandparents, everybody. And they formed a huge line, and there was traffic jam even on the highway. And aircrafts and helicopters were flying around, and we could hear explosions. And well, this is how it was approximately on the first day. We decided not to go anywhere yet, just to see what's going on, because the roads were jammed, and we thought that we might take a big risk getting on the road, and then if we get attacked there, might might be dangerous. So
And and Alex, let me just clarify for our audience: you lived in Kiev, right, or on the outskirts of Kiev at the time?
yes, I live
And
I live at the time of yes, I live
yeah.
on the outskirts of Kiev. It's a village, just several kilometers, several miles from Kiev, just 3 or 4, something like this.
And you were with your wife and 2 kids. That's your family, right?
Yeah, I was with my wife and the 2 kids and friends and neighbors around us. Um, we lived in a townhouse with a garden, and in quite a suburban area, I would say, in a way. Yeah, and uh, yeah. Then we saw a lot of vehicles going in the direction of an airfield. There is an airfield not far from the place where we live, and it was the place of first strikes of Russia. They were sending their army there by helicopters, and they were dispersing around in the area around our houses at the time. And we were basically sitting at home, just preparing ourselves and trying to plan what is the best way, what are the chances, like where is the higher chance to survive, at home or on the road somewhere. And this is basically how we spent the first day. We did not sleep at night because the walls were shaking from blasts and explosions. I was still trying to do some of my English interpreting job, because we still had the internet and the electricity and so on, and we were patrolling our neighborhood with the people. And you spoke about neighbors, about loving our neighbors at the beginning. Yeah, and I remembered one guy. His name was Oleg Ivanov, and I didn't know him very well. He was my neighbor, and we were walking that night trying to keep the area secure, and trying to look out for possible looters or criminals or any other kind of danger, or maybe a fire, to watch out, to guard our neighborhood and our neighbors. So me and him, we were walking and talking, and he was really brave. And then a couple of days later, as I already left that place and he stayed, I found out that he perished. He died there on one of the nights, as he was trying to help his neighbors. He was helping many people, really. There, for example, some people left, and old people stayed. They couldn't go. So he was bringing them water and food and helping a lot. And one morning I found out that he passed away. And well, I don't know. When I hear about neighbors, I still remember him and such stories. Yeah.
You could take a moment, Alex. There's no rush here. None of us can imagine what this would be like. I mean, I can tell you, I've got neighbors that I don't know that well. It's the exact same thing. You know, people I've met or seen before, but we haven't really hung out together. So I can't really relate, but I can try to empathize. That's got to be just, I don't. And you were patrolling the streets basically because there might be looters, and you were trying to act as kind of a civilian, maybe not police force, but at least try to keep people, you know, from. So now you're protecting your homes from looters. Not even, you know, this whole thing is just kind of snowballing.
Yeah, because we understood that the police wouldn't come if something happens, or firefighters. They wouldn't be able to react at that time. Right. So we were, yes, going around that night and trying to keep things safe, and while still hearing the blasts and explosions, and not being able to go to sleep. I saw that my children also struggled to go to sleep normally, and I decided that this is not what I want for them. I don't want them to hear it. I don't want them to feel that they are in danger. So the very morning we packed everything we could. Actually, we didn't take that much, and we didn't know at the time that we wouldn't see our house again, and that it would burn to the ground there. So we packed and we got in the car with my family and two of my friends, and we left that place early in the morning as the curfew finished. And then we found out that at the same time there were battles in parallel street, like in the village nearby, and that the Russian forces were coming towards our village already to get to Kiev. And we were driving from that place, and on the road we already saw a lot of crashed vehicles and trails of blood. I understand it was caused by the panic or the rush that had been the day before, on the very first day of the invasion. And
when you and I talked earlier, you were saying as you all were leaving, the Russians were coming in parallel, kind of as you were going out, they were coming in.
Yeah, then we looked at the map.
Streets, but yeah.
Yeah, when we looked at the map, we understood that we are actually going, yes, in parallel to their tank forces and their their army. That, yes, we were going like this, basically in different in parallel villages. And as we were driving for 3 hours to get to my parents, to the village, and when we got there, we found out that our village got occupied by Russian army. It wasn't the first wave. Our army had stopped lots of them before. There were severe battles, but another wave and another reinforcement got there, and they kicked my neighbors out of their homes to occupy their flats and use them as shooting points. And they began to kill civilians who were trying to run away and to get into their cars. Because, as I heard later from some of the people there, that they were afraid that the civilians might give away their location or some, I don't know why, but they were killing those people, and the amount of horrible views and photos and videos of the witnesses of those moments is huge.
Yeah, when we talked before, you said the Russians had come in and forced them to sort of crawl out on their knees. Some of the
Yes, on the
friends
shattered
and
glass, they were shouting at people, shouting at them at the gunpoint, making them crawl on their knees out of their homes to take them. Yes, and people assembled together in some of the basements of the houses that were not occupied. They were trying to hide, and they hid there for many days afterwards, and we prayed for them, and we were constantly trying to contact them to see how it's possible to help. They were running out of food and water, and they had to collect rainwater to survive on those days, because the place was surrounded by Russians, and they did not care much about the civilians that are caught as basically hostages in that situation. So they had to collect rainwater to survive, and it was really hard for them. I already was safe with my family, 100 miles away from that place in a village, and
but you barely made it out. You made it out just in
yeah,
time.
it was incredibly close as it appeared to be. Yes.
And what you're saying is that what kind of drove your final decision? You were kind of trying to decide, do we leave or do we stay a little longer? How much? And then you saw your children who couldn't sleep,
Yeah,
and you said, "It's time to stop."
on the first day, exactly. We didn't know what to do on the first day. We were
Yeah.
just preparing, just trying to be ready, and until the very last moment, we were trying to wage what is the better way to risk and to hit the road, or to stay at home and hide somewhere
Right.
under this staircase or something like this, so somewhere in the closet. And yeah, and yes, the decision was made the very last moment, and just when I looked at my kids, and I thought that anyway, I don't want them to hear it, much less to see.
So then you
Afterwards,
got out. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
it's just I mean, when we arrived to the village, to my parents already, and everything was fine, and my son drew a picture of war. I don't know how he had managed to already see it, how or where. So from some TVs somewhere, or some radios, or I don't know, from some chat. And when he drew all the blood and the dead people and the soldiers, I understood that I really need to take care of them, and my wife and I, we really need to get them as far as possible from that place. So yes.
How old is he?
He's 7.
Yeah. My son is about turned 6, and you have a little daughter as well. She's a bit older, but I have a daughter as well, and I so feel for you, Alex. I can't understand, but if Elliot were to start drawing pictures like that, I would want to get him. Oh yeah, thank you. So this is a picture
Yeah.
that Alex, you sent me, and you said I could share. And this is, I assume this is when they were, and we haven't even
Yeah.
talked about this yet, but yeah. So but eventually you got your wife and children out of the country, right?
Yes, they are in Europe now. They are safe now, and everything is fine. Yeah. Yes, it's on the border. They were crossing the border with Poland. Yes, and the Polish people um, were incredibly hospitable, and they helped a lot, and they cared a
Yeah,
lot. And
yeah, the Polish people are special people. There's no doubt in my mind. And I've done some reading over the years about Poland in general, and they're just a very special people, and they've endured a lot. So yeah, they're doing a great service to all of you now. Hey, Steve, I wonder if you could pull up that picture of Alex and his family, the one with the lights behind it. It is such a beautiful picture, and if you can make it as big as you can, please. Because I asked Alex to send me. I mean, I've established this. Look at this picture, guys. It makes me cry. I mean, that's me and my family, except Elliot's blonde. I mean, it's such a happy, sweet family here. And in one, crazy, unbelievable, day, that whole thing changed for him. And I just can't imagine what that would, But my wife looked at that picture and she started crying. She just like, oh my gosh, they're just like us. They're just, I can't imagine if Elliot or Lucy had to go through this. So I thank you for sharing that picture with me and the others as well. So they're safe now. You were, and I guess they you got them out of where you are now, and you don't need to tell me more about where you are and all that right now. But you're still there. You're still in Ukraine, and you're not in Kiev, but you're outside. You're away from Kiev. But when we talked before, tell me about how you had to go sign up for the conscription or the draft service and all that, because that was a
yes, yes. It's impossible for us to meet now, and of course, it's not the time. I hope I will see them soon and get the chance. We have a mobilization in our country, which means that all the men from 18 years old to 60 must stay in the country and fight, and we must appear. This is what I basically did. I went to our military enlistment draft office, and I showed up, and they registered me, but they haven't called me to join the army yet, because they are saying that they're full. And as I was there was a line of people, and for now they are taking the people who actually have military experience and can operate military vehicles and so on, which I can't, which I am not. And so for now they haven't called me in yet, and so I'm here in Ukraine, ready to join, ready to help, doing what I can. And I plan, and I know many other men as well who sent their families to a safer place abroad, to Europe or other countries. They're also staying, and not just because there is a law and mobilization, but because we understand that our country may need us, and that we are needed here, and we are doing what we can.
Let me ask Anna. I'm going to turn back to you for a minute, because the guys that I've been working with on your team are just all of you are so unbelievable and professional. And I've said this before, but everybody at my company has been very complimentary of the team. They're excited to have you on board. I know we got the proposal in today. Thank you for that. So hopefully we'll get things moving along on that. But everybody at my company has just expressed what a joy it's been to work with you all, as if there's nothing going on. And these guys, and I say men because the men have to stay in the country, as you said, but they were in Dnipro and some other cities, and they're just working. They're just working, and they send me a note. Hey, we need this. they need a folder structure for QA and testing and all that. So I'm going to get that to them. And I think, tell me about that, Anna. You and I spoke briefly, about how that having work is helpful right now.
Yeah, my team is amazing. Despite all the alarms and danger, they keep on working. And first of all, our work can help us to distract at least for some time from what is going on. And another very important thing that we need to work right now to pay taxes, to donate to our army. So this is what we can do now. Keep on working, keep on making money, and support our army. That's what people can do now. People who are stayed and people who were forced to leave. I know that about 3 million Ukrainians left Ukraine, and I'm sure that all of them still trying to help as much as they can.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a good important point that, right now I think I see a lot of things on LinkedIn. I know that Mark Driscoll and AMC Bridge are posting things saying, hey, hire us. This is and the world might think right now that, oh gosh, Ukraine's in a war, they're off limits. We're not going to hire them right now. But it's just the opposite. Now more than ever is when you need the work. And now more than ever is when you're willing to work, because that's how you donate. That's how you contribute to your country's freedom, is by paying taxes and helping to finance things. That's interesting.
That's
I mean,
true.
that's what you're saying. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are going to watch this, and I know a lot of people in this country are wondering, how can I help? We can pray. And I know that we can pray. And praying is good, and we believe in the power of prayer. But there's more that we can do. I'll be honest, me inviting you all here to tell your story, that's kind of what I'm trying to do to help you get the story out. But tell us what else can we do? Tell us what you all need. What can we do to help?
First of all, I think, of course, there are accounts and there are volunteers and addresses for donations and for all kinds of help. But I think, first of all, we would be extremely grateful, and it's vital for us that everybody would understand the situation, see the situation, know the situation, and most importantly, I think that everyone in the world would, if they would try to conquer fear in the heart, because this is what drives people to do many bad things that are happening right now. For us now, it is a war, and the other side, the Russian Federation, its aim now is extinction of the Ukrainians, of everything Ukrainian. Why? Because we represent different values, because we strive for democracy and freedom of speech, freedom of thoughts, protecting human rights and things like that. And this is not what their regime is founded on now. And this is not what their regime is trying to hold on. That's why we are, in the way, as people, existential threat for the Kremlin regime. And that's why they treat us as this kind of threat and try to eliminate, try to just destroy. There are thousands of civilian casualties already. Mm-hmm. For them, it doesn't matter the army or not the army. It's important to occupy, and if it's impossible, and apparently it's not possible, we're not allowing them to do so, to destroy Ukraine, to destroy this other camp where people try to do things differently.
Yeah. Anna, what would you offer up?
Sorry, Dad?
Just what would you want to say to the American people
Yeah.
and to the people who watch this? Tell us, how can we help? What do you need? Or just what do we need to be conscious of? This is a great,
Sure.
whatever you think.
Well, first of all, I want to say that uh, this could happen to anyone as long as we let such psychopaths be in power. uh, we are not safe. I mean, like a year ago, I had a meeting. I had one of my teammates from Israel. He originally from Ukraine, but he stayed for some time in Israel. And during some important meetings, he would say, "Sorry, guys, I need to hide. We have an alarm here." And I thought, "Oh my God, how the one could live like that? That would never happen to us." How wrong was I? Because it could happen to anyone as long as we, I don't know, we don't stop this evil that is, happen.
Yeah.
And the second um, wall, what I wanted to say that, of course, I can share some official accounts with you, like for if some people can donate, but not like all people can donate, but at least everyone can help us to spread our position, information about what is going on here in Ukraine. And when we win, I'm sure we will, because truth is on our side. We will win for sure. But at what price? It, of course, it depends on your help as well. So when we win, I hope you all can come to us, to Ukraine, and to see our amazing people, because our people are amazing and very brave and really kind, and our Ukraine is beautiful. And I hope you can all see it, and you're welcome to come
Yeah.
once everything is okay.
Yeah, as we rebuild everything.
Yeah.
Anna, I'd like to ask you a question, and where do you find hope? Hope is a it's a religious, it's a faithful value, it's a human value, it's a human instinct. It's and when we lose hope, we really lose everything. Where do you find hope?
I found hope in people, in their actions, in their thoughts, in their ability to resist, and to, I don't know, and to laugh despite everything what is going on, despite all cruelty around us. We still love each other, we still support each other, maybe better than before. So yeah, I feel hope. I find hope in my close people and just people around me.
Great. And Alex, how about you?
Yeah, as you said at the beginning, that our technical, uh, our technology helps us expand the area of our reach and the people we can contact and see and hear. That's exactly what gives hope, seeing that so many people are involved, that so many people are touched by it, that so many people take it as not something that is happening very far on the other side of the globe and so on, but as a struggle of values, of morality versus immorality. When so many people support good cause, when people share food and water when they already um, don't have much of it, when they give the last they can, when you see how heroic some people are, the soldiers that then went um, and helped my neighbors get out of it and evacuate, how brave they were, they were attacked many times, and it took several days to get there and to save the people that had stayed. But they did, and when you see such acts of bravery, of purity, of kindness and good, it really gives hope. You really understand that humanity is much bigger than just economy, that just bigger than a series of economies interconnected through some global commercial procedures. It's much more. We are really all connected in between our hearts.
It's beautifully said. Beautifully said, both of you. I promise you, when this is over and your country opens up again, I will bring my family and we're going to meet your family and we're going to have meals together and you're going to show me around, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. I mean, I'll commit to that. I've never been to Ukraine, so I'm coming, and we will continue to pray for you daily.
And I want to ask another question. This is so off. This is so off of our topic in its own way. But I love to travel, and one of the ways I love to travel is through food. Can you each one of us, each one of you, describe to me your favorite, specifically traditionally Ukrainian dish?
Love it. It's a great question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Anna, would you like to be first?
Alex,
or I can start then. Okay,
yeah, let's go.
Okay, one of my favorite dishes is I would say borscht. I ate borscht today, and I eat it a lot, and I really like it. It's boiled beetroot with cabbage and meat, and it's great kind of soup. I don't know if you have tasted it, but prepared in a very specific way. It's really nice. It's super red and hot and incredibly tasty.
I have never ever in my life had borscht. I'm sorry. I missed out.
Yeah, you missed a lot. That's very tasty. I confirm. I would say we have vareniki. It's like dumplings. It can be salty with potato or meat, or it can be sweet with some fruits, for example, and it's very tasty. So I'm sure you need to try it.
Yeah, well, now we're really coming.
Yeah, we'll make it for you. No problem.
No problem. Yeah.
Well, that's I think about this is a program for church people, and one of the things that I think about quite a bit is how food is so essential to faiths of all kinds. There's no faith on the planet that I know of that doesn't focus around the power of a community meal and eating together and having that kind of time and so I'm always fascinated by that, and I'm always fascinated by the way a meal brings people together. So
yeah.
And Judy Smith is
there you go.
Judy is Judy's a very, very good cook, and she's faithful to be part of all of these conversations when we have them. And she's a very good cook. Judy, you also make good hot tamales too, right? You use there's a local celebrity here in this area that makes that has a recipe book, and I've had Judy's hot tamales. Are there any other questions from anybody? We've got quite a few people online viewing it. Do you have any questions? One I will go back to. And this came from Ronald Hawthorne. Thank you for being here with us. Can anyone expound on how faith leaders are helping to keep spirits up in a time when God seems so far away? Anybody have an answer for that? Has there been a presence made? And I know that in different countries the role of the clergy and the role of the religious communities they function in different ways, and I know that in the Orthodox churches, then it's very different from what we experience here in the United States with our kind of network of free churches.
Yes, yeah. I think in a way you'll have maybe a tighter connection to the people. I mean, between the church and the clergyman and the people, because apparently you meet regularly and you speak and you communicate to one another. In our case, it's a bit more. It happens more rarely. We go to church for holidays, but these days, especially in the capital in Kiev, I know that many clergymen of different religions are doing their best. They almost don't sleep, but help people all the possible ways, providing shelter for people whose houses got ruined, and helping in many humanitarian ways, and speaking to them also. Uh, I can't remember a speech that I would see. Well, all the main speeches that we see now is from our president, who's doing well, who's also standing up for our country and our lives. And we can see that the life of every person is really valuable for him too.
From our perspective, at least from mine, Zelensky has been a great presence globally to represent Ukraine. And, I don't know his politics. I didn't know him 3 weeks ago, honestly, but it's just how he's a man of the people, and he's a good presence to represent you, I think, in front of world leaders.
He, in a way, he is an amazing phenomenon, because he is exactly the average Ukrainian. Like,
Right.
what would an average Ukrainian do getting into such a role, and how the person would address other people and speak and so on. So sometimes it might look a bit unprofessional, but this is exactly the how people in the majority, how the average person would think, would act, would do, and so on. And yes, he's incredibly brave, and we can see that he really cares about us.
That's very true. You can sense it. So,
does anybody else have a question that are on? We've got, again, quite a few of you are watching and being silent. If you're on YouTube, I'm not sure if you're watching from YouTube. I'm not sure I've got I can see that your chat, but definitely in the Facebook side of things, I can. So if you have a question, please be glad to, or please put it up there. Otherwise, we're gonna kind of close out, and I'm gonna bring Mark back on. I know he has a few things he'd like to say, and I can't thank you enough for this time. I really can't thank you enough. It's a great passion of mine to again, to travel, to see the world, and to understand that I think our nations tend to, especially when we have a sense of nationalism that's throughout our countries, we have a way of saying that my life, my culture, my country is better than everybody else, and therefore I don't need to really know very much about those things. And what I have learned through travel, which has been one of my great passions, and imparted that to my children, is that people are the same everywhere, and we have friends, and we're in community with people all around the world, and I'm really glad to have this time with you personally, and very blessed by your kindness to be on with us today.
Steve, can I tee off of what you just said for a second? I used to travel a lot with work, and I found that my dumb dad jokes Everybody laughed at them. In any country, whatever jokes, and my son tells me, he said, Dad, they're not dad jokes. And I'm like, why not? He said, because jokes are funny. And yours are not. But everybody across the world would laugh. And then one time I was sitting at dinner in Copenhagen, and we had somebody from England, had a couple of Germans, somebody from Finland. There were several countries represented. And at one point, one of the Germans said, the problem with you Americans is that you think we're all the same, meaning in Europe. And I was like, okay, fair. But do you realize what you just said? You made it sound like all Americans are the same. And he kind of paused for a second. And I think we both learned something in that moment. We both learned something in that moment, that we are all the same, and yet we're all different. And so I just very much appreciate your words, Steve. And I very, very, very much appreciate Anna and your team at AMC Bridge. And I hope your guys watch this later and know how grateful I am for them. Alex, I'm going to continue to pray for you and your family as well, but daily. And I'm going to ping you every day on WhatsApp, Alex, just to touch in and say hi, so I'm thinking about you and your family. Okay, you don't have to respond, but I will. Mark, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank
you very much. Thank you for your help.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your support.
I cannot thank you enough for giving a face for us to see what is the tragedy, the humanitarian tragedy that is going on, and the evil that's going on. You give it a face for us, and it's so easy. Just what you were saying, the world is so large. It's easy to just feel that distance from what real people are going through. And I so appreciate your openness, your authenticity, and sharing with that, and the encouragement to support humanitarian efforts that are going on, the encouragement to support Ukrainian friends and neighbors. We live in a city with a lot of international connections, and our congregation has an amazing number of international connections. And so it's just that encouragement for us to stay focused and do what we can to support people like you in the struggles that you are going through. So thank you very much for all you've done for us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching today and being a part of this conversation. It'll be posted on our, on all of our social media and on our website. So if you didn't get a chance to, if you missed part of it, then I know you'll want to jump back in. So again, this is I'm Steve Martin, and Mark Flynn is at the top, and this has been really powerful. But we'll be back next week with probably something that's maybe a little bit more ordinary. Who knows? But thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.